You can hear Dev just waiting to make a video on how wrong hangrying is. Slavery was racist, and then Dev's gonna be like, actually, it was about states' rights. Good one, Dev. Racist. I don't even know who hangrying is. Don't worry, you'll know very soon.
There's this part of the Howie Mandel interview with Mark Maron that I feel like mostly flew under the radar. Mark took it in a completely understandable direction, but I am just so astounded by it. I don't really even understand it. I think what Howie said, he must have not meant what he said. Not that I know anything about Howie Mandel. He's a man who I mostly know him from pointing at women who open briefcases. And also Bobby's World, which I did enjoy. I was of the age to enjoy Bobby's World. That kid had a weird head, and I liked it. But let's listen to what our man here says.
I just went and saw
He's
Ricky
your
Gervais
age.
at the Hollywood Bowl.
What a bore.
No, brilliant.
You loved it.
I mean, what a Mark is not making any friends here. He's talking about going to a Ricky Gervais show, and he's summarizing the point, though I assume he's doing it badly because I hope that this was not the point that Ricky Gervais was trying to make, but who knows?
I think this new show is called Mortality.
I don't think I can find this. I don't know if it's out yet.
I've got a woke joke, right?
Howie.
Remember those jokes we used to have when we were kids, like Doctor joke? Doctor, I keep thinking I'm a pair of curtains. Well, pull yourself together then. I've done a woke version of that, brought it up to today's standards, right? So, bloke goes to the doctor. He goes, Doctor, I keep thinking I'm a pair of curtains. And the doctor goes, well, you are then.
Literally, the attack helicopter joke. It's just
I
literally
don't
the
get
attack
it.
helicopter joke.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. It's been 10 years. It's been more than 10 years since the attack helicopter joke. You just told, that was your fucking trailer? So he's still telling the attack helicopter joke, but that is just a trailer for a show that I could go watch in the real world, not something that's been released. So I can't watch this bit that Howie Mandel's talking about here.
And he talked about,
Foodshops is missing money, not covering the comedy war slot. There's comedy has wars.
what we are appalled at or what we think is stupid is all about the time.
So this is, we get a little bit of moral relativism from Ricky Gervais via Howie Mandel. What is bad? It depends on where you're from, what you're surrounded by, and moral relativism, a legitimate philosophical idea. I think that you could also make the case that racism is bad no matter when it happened, even if it wasn't felt to be bad at the time.
Actually,
It was bad anyway. That is how I
It's
feel.
about
And I feel
states'
that way about
rights.
places that sort of have racially built caste systems now, or any built caste systems.
And this is what I'm talking about, our cultural shift. We're not shifting it, it's shifting. He goes like, listen, right now, everybody talks, the worst thing you can be is a racist. You can't, and it is right now. I mean, if that's probably the number one negative.
It was so interesting to watch, like,
Pretty
powerful,
lenses, thank you.
high-status white men say, the worst thing that can happen to you is be called a racist. I see this all the time, and it's because it's the worst thing that can happen to them. The worst thing that can happen.
Or maybe the worst thing that could happen is being a racist.
To you, if you have a lot of status, is to be called a thing that lowers your status. And that's why wealthy, high-status people worry about being canceled and dying. And that's why when I go to dinner with people in San Francisco, they talk a lot about how to not die. Like, a lot. That it is their main obsession because it's the only bad thing they can still imagine happening
Fucking liberals. Am I right, guys?
to them. Okay, sorry, I'll keep watching.
I don't think that's true. I think that maybe since he's written that show, the screw is turned. It doesn't seem to be the most negative thing at all. But we have a president who's a racist.
This is a great point from Mark Maron, and is absolutely the case. And I think that he's being very charitable and saying, since Ricky wrote that show, and not just sort of assuming that Ricky is beating a drum because it is making noise. I don't know. I'm being snarky.
But we have a president who's a racist, and he's very
He's
positive.
not identified as one, though.
Well,
He's not identified as a racist.
Sorry,
No, but like,
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
that's so taking the 30,000 foot view here. What are we
I'm
talking
sorry.
about? We're talking about whether or not people calling you a racist or doing racist things, and that result in people calling you a racist results in you losing status because it's taboo. In actual definite fact, it is easier to maintain your status or to even grow your status by doing racist stuff and saying racist things and believing that one race is superior to another now than it was 5 years ago.
How much digging do you have to do? Get me on a computer. I can do it in 2 clicks.
No, I know, but half the country doesn't agree with you.
So it's not the biggest problem, is it?
It's if you call him that, it's incredibly.
People call him that every day.
So like Mark saying there's an objective reality here, and Howie's saying, yeah, but there's a bunch of people who don't think that Trump is racist. And it's like, well, do they not think he's racist, or do they not think it's racist to feel like white people are superior to black people? Do they not think it's racist to scapegoat races? Do they not think it's
Well, the problem comes from the fact that people generally are dishonest about their racism, right? That's where the problem lies. It isn't the problem that people actually have an issue with people being called racist. Because I'm pretty sure generally everybody in society says, well, I mean, it's okay to call like the person who just said the hard R a racist, right? Like even right-wingers, I feel like would concede possibly do that unless it was like from a movie or some other understandable context, right? However, the problem comes from, well, how do you tell a racist from a person who isn't a racist? Well, hold on. Is your standard that they have to say that they are racist? Is your standard that they give enough clues that they're racist? Or is your standard like them making enough racist jokes among people who are white or some shit? Like, where is the standard that you draw? And I think that some right-wingers and some comedians will make it unreasonably hard to prove that somebody is racist, or unreasonably hard to show that somebody is racist before you can call them racist, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a shield that they hide behind, but
racist to only talk about certain races through the lens of crime. Like, maybe they don't think that that's
anymore.
racist, but it is.
Oh.
So now he's lost the premise, and he's going to restate the premise incorrectly.
Well, I'm just saying that the premise is faulty.
Well, let me tell you that, but let me finish the premise. The premise is whatever you believe is a racist move, if he lived, Ricky Gervais, lived 100 years ago and bought 100 slaves, he's an aristocrat.
Okay.
He's not a racist. He would be applauded for owning a plantation.
This is the thing that I
the fuck?
can't stop thinking about. So this is not what Ricky Gervais was saying. He was not saying that 100 years ago, I'm not expecting Howie Mandel to get the years right, but 100 years ago, you would, if you bought slaves, there'd be a real problem because it was 1925 and slavery was illegal. But 200 years ago, sure. 1825, you own a bunch of slaves, you're an aristocrat. No, you're a racist. The thing that's changed, and he said this correctly in the beginning, the thing that's changed is that it was back then a respectable thing to be. You can have that belief, you can be a racist, and it is not just not harmful, but it is beneficial to have that belief. Absolutely, people are products of the cultures that they are inside of, including the time period that they are inside of. And so it would be normal to be a white supremacist 200 years ago. It would, for clarity though, still be racist. But he does say, and he has this thought and it comes out of his mouth, a person.
Wait, hold on. So the obvious logical conclusion is racism is not a thing until the word has been invented, right? Until the word and the concept has been invented. That is the only logical conclusion, right? Because if you say, well, back then that person wasn't racist, he was an aristocrat, then the only logical conclusion is that racism isn't like racism wasn't invented yet during that time period. Like it's a concept someone has to invent.
Buying slaves isn't racist if they live in a society in which racism was okay. And that, to me, indicates that Howie Mandel is stuck thinking that what racism is being punished for being racist. So, like, you're racist if you are punished for being racist, but if you're not punished for being racist, you're not racist. And that means that he's seeing all of this through the lens of how the high status person is being affected by society's understanding of racism. He's not seeing any of this through the lens of society as a whole.
Racism was invented with Overwatch. It was invented with CS:GO, okay? The richer you are, the less your racism matters. Sure, but that applies to everything, right? To be fair. Like the more rich you are, the more everything is less severe.
Well, he's of course not seeing any of this
Yeah.
through the lens of the people who are racialized and then marginalized through that racialization. But the leap that his brain made was from it used to be a high status belief and now it's a low status belief, to believe that one race is superior to another race, to it used to be that being racist
Distinction,
wasn't racist,
being
and now
racist
it is.
versus
And
being
that,
unracist.
it took me so long to parse that. I think this is a wild thing to do. But let's talk a little bit about why racism is bad. I think maybe we got kind of caught up in the
Hold on there, bucko, okay? Do you want trouble to come your way? So you want trouble, huh? Alright. I see how it is. So you actually want trouble to come your way, bitch. Okay. I see. You don't like racism very much. Racist.
anti-woke. We got caught
The real racists? The real racists are the ones that call other people racists. Boom.
up in the problematic without saying why
Destroyed.
it's problematic. We got caught up in the, oh, don't talk about it, it's scary stuff. And we haven't said out loud why racism is bad in a while. Or maybe we haven't said it at all correctly. Racism is bad because it's easy. It's a very easy
shoot that
cognitive
Glock.
bias to fall into. But I think that like a lot of the sort of basic definition of racism is simply
I win.
hating other people. A person can be out there thinking Nazis are evil, hatred of another group of people is evil, and I would never do that. I'm not a white supremacist just because I think white people are superior to black people. That's just how it is. I'm just stating a fact. I'm not doing a white supremacy. I think there are a lot of people like that. I mean, I know that there's a fair number.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because when you state a fact such as like, oh yeah, 13% of the population commit 50% of crime, if you say something like that, just keep in mind that the only logical conclusion that anybody can draw from that, if no other statistic is being presented, if no other piece of information is being presented, is that, oh, black people naturally commit more crime, right? Like, that is the only logical conclusion you can draw from 1350, right? However, that's the problem, is that lots of people say, well, I'm just presenting it as an actual fact. It's an actual fact. Well, hold on. If you say something like that in a vacuum, what's the only logical conclusion? The person who is saying that so-called objective fact, by the way, there are many reasons why it's not the most accurate fact, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's still kind of disproportionate. So the only... If you are the one who is saying the fact, you are the person who is coming to terms how... And you know that the other person only has one logical conclusion to draw upon when you are making that statement, right? One belief, only one belief they can draw upon. So when people play dumb about things like this, they're playing dumb. They're being bad faith, right? Because when you say shit like that, there is one thing and one thing only you can lead them down, right? But yeah.
Of them because I've interacted with them. Like,
also, by the way, the statistic is even that, like, the reason why the crime statistic thing isn't even like that accurate in the first place is just simply because there's a lot more policing in black communities, and in addition there are arrest biases, and in addition, pretty sure like exoneration rates are super high for black people, right? Like they get arrested and they get exonerated pretty quickly, or like pretty often, right? So you're not able to pin the charge on anybody, right? You're not able to actually pin the charge on anybody if they keep on getting exonerated, right? So the real question is, how many people are actually proven beyond the shadow of a doubt of a crime, right? So Yeah.
I talk and they're like, no, I'm not a white supremacist, but you can't deny that white people are superior. And I'm like, that's what it is. That's the whole definition. You did it. Like, you are a Nazi. The Nazis weren't a bunch of people who like went to work every day going like, I'm evil, and thinking I'm an evil man and I've got evil in my heart and hatred and I burn with it and I burn with
A lot of Nazis are, because I watched this like fucking YouTube essay. 12% of YouTube are responsible for 50% of slop share. Another YouTube essay that I remember seeing is about Inglorious Bastards, where Hans, the main villain of the movie, the reason why he is so scary is because he's not just a racist, right? He does have prejudiced beliefs, but the reason why he goes after Jewish people is because he's a career person. He wants to advance in his career. He views it as in like he is here to do a job. He enjoys the job, and he wants to do the best when it comes to hunting Jews, right? So yeah, a lot of times, the racism isn't very obvious. They can say, "Oh yeah, this is just a part of my job." I don't know. It's just people, and this is IRL as well. Like in the past, a lot of Nazis is because a lot of Nazis did what they did because of career opportunities in the Nazi party. Okay. But,
evil and hate. They just believed that white people were superior, and they used that meme and our normal cognitive biases and our normal fear of outsiders, and they used it as a tool to consolidate state power and then to kill people. The reason we have taboos against doing and saying racist stuff is because it is socially destructive to do and say racist stuff, because it reinforces the bias. When those actions receive social reinforcement, which is what a lot of the anti-woke story has been about. It has been about being able to say certain things and receive love and appreciation and praise for them rather than criticism. And the fact that Howie Mandel can sit there and think with his own human brain that people were less racist in a time when they were more racist. Like, this is a spectrum, of course. Like, you can believe that white people are superior to black people without thinking that they are unthinking animals, which was often what was believed back 200 years ago. But I have to say, thinking one group is superior to another is the first step on that path. And it's also just known to be untrue. Like, we see that genetic variation within a racial group is often more diverse than genetic variation between racial groups. We see that there's no such thing as racial purity, that humans have been spreading out and interbreeding all over the place for the whole time. Now, of course, race is real, because societal constructs are real. We make it real. The way we make money real. The way we make property rights real. We create race.
Kind of funny to imagine a German officer coming back to his wife like, dang it, I don't get promoted to Gestapo again. Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure Gestapo is like, you're not promoted to Gestapo. You just entered the Gestapo as a division. But I get the point you're talking about.
We
okay?
have built race. And by having a caste system that still exists and that is defined in part by race, we create many racial...
Yeah, I think this is generally true. The fact that you kind of have to acknowledge that when it comes to addressing race and shit, I don't think this like distinction between white and black people existed that hard, like during ancient times, right? Like during ancient times, it was just like, oh, different colored people, and everyone like is kind of like that, right? But I think this only came about because of more recent like shit, I guess. I don't fucking know, but like because of slavery, right? But yeah,
differences that would not otherwise be there. Just like class stratification.
Because remember, back then, racism manifested not as like specifically skin color, but as your origin and your culture and your religion, right? Racism is more through the lenses of origin and culture back then, as opposed to skin color. Because now, like, it's skin color discrimination, but back then it was like, oh, you're Jewish, even though you look like me, fuck you, all right? Or it's like, oh, you're from a Germanic tribe, oh, you look exactly like me, but fuck you, okay? Like it was just because again, Slavic people, like the reason why Slavs are like just fucking hate each other, right? Like their entire history is like being racist towards each other, even though they look exactly the same, right? So is East Asians, right? I mean, obviously you can say, oh, well, I mean, this group of East Asians share a trait more often than others, and you can say that, but I'm just saying, the differences between East Asians is completely out of like they're not even close to the same as like the differences of skin color, right? So yeah, like it just kind of seems as though um that's just how it is, right? Yeah.
Creates class differences that would not otherwise.
Us gaming didn't like each other. No,
And
sure.
once those differences are there, people who either are ambitious or
Why, like, I'm sure there are even Native American tribes who are discriminatory towards one another because, oh, well, yeah, I know we all fucking look the same or whatever the fuck, but I don't care. We're completely different. We have better warriors. We have better, we have better, like, everything. Okay, fuck you guys. You guys suck, right?
fearful can
Yeah.
exploit them in order to make themselves more powerful, because working against bias is work. Because accepting that race is a fake idea that feels real in your head is work. And if somebody gives you an opportunity to not do that work, while at the same time feeling superior to a bunch of people you're afraid of, you're gonna want to do that. That's an easy path, which is again why it's important to make racism taboo again. Because if you offer people an easy path and a lot of reasons to be afraid, they'll take it. It's extremely seductive. And that will be very bad for society.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Society. Joker reference, I'm sure. Okay, joking. If I brought home a Dakota, it would be like, get that guy out here. Can't you bring a white guy home? Oh. Oh yeah, no. Because I remember when